Today is Tuesday, January 24th, and we're taking things one day at a time here on the Outside the Oval podcast, the newest running experience on the internet. I'm excited to be here today. As always, I'm glad you've chosen Outside the Oval to be a part of your day, and I'm really looking forward to today's show. In a little bit, the newest breakout middle distance star, KC Heron from the University of Georgia, he'll join the show, and together, the two of us dive into his pursuit of running a sub 4-minute mile, his experiences as a D1 athlete and Georgia Bulldog, as well as the running community in the state of Georgia. Not only that, but Casey and I discussed the back-to-back national championship Georgia football teams, as well as some of his favorite video games and sports to play growing up. As I've already said, Casey is a rising star in the NCAA, coming off two promising victories at the highly competitive Clemson Invite, and he looks to have everything moving in a positive direction as we get into the track season. I hope you enjoy my discussion with Casey, who does a terrific job detailing his training and diligence that have led him to where he is today. I will direct you to our conversation here in a few minutes, and if you do enjoy it, I would encourage you to share the show with a few friends or on social media, leaving that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This is the easiest way for us to reach new listeners, and any support is much appreciated. And then, as always, if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to reach out to my email, outsidetheoval@gmail.com. But today's intro is one I've been looking forward to for a couple of weeks now. It's going to be quick, but I'm going to make my way too early. Championship predictions for each indoor distance race, and we're going to start on the women's side. And right off the bat, we're going to start with the 1500 meter. There's several intriguing options here, and I'm going to run you down a few. Olivia Howe from Illinois, she's the top returner from last year's race, finishing what was at the time a surprising fifth place finish. Mia Barnett, who transferred from Virginia back home to UCLA this winter, I believe is also another name to watch. Barnett, she finished 10th in the finals of the mile last year in the indoor championships, and considering she's closer to home, training for a new coach, she is an intriguing name in this mile. With that being said, Bailey Hartenstein from Colorado is going to be my pick in this championship race. Last season, Hartenstein finished last in the preliminary round of the indoor championships. And I love a good revenge arc, and that's kind of what she has going here. Since then, Bailey has transferred from Indiana to Colorado, where she put together a fantastic cross-country season, and she finished fifth at the national championship cross-country meet in her first ever collegiate cross-country season. Colorado has a long history of transforming female athletes into superstars, and I think Hartenstein is on her way to cementing herself as the next great Colorado miler, following in the footsteps of Danny Jones, Sage Herda, and many others, which you might remember last year Rachel MacArthur was a part of. Lindsey Butler from Virginia Tech, though, she could be an intriguing name if she makes the decision to jump from the 800-meter race to the mile, which I'm sure many could see her doing, following her 242 1K and 927 3K debuts to open up the indoor season. And Butler would instantly become one of the favorites in this race and could easily challenge a more veteran like Olivia Howe, Mia Barnett, or Bailey Hartenstein down the stretch. However, we are going to take Hartenstein in the mile. But moving ahead in the 3K and 5K, I posed this question to Julian not too long ago. In the 3K and 5K, I really think it's just a one question. Caitlin Toohey, Parker Valby, or the field? And I picked Valby to win the cross-country national championships, and we'll pick her to walk away with a championship again, but this time in the 5,000 meters. In the 3K, I am rolling with Toohey, as intriguing of a pick as Taylor Rowe might be, last year's champion, Celia McCabe, Lauren Gregory, a few others in that 3K who could really make a name for themselves. Unfortunately, I don't think there's another runner strong enough to run away from Toohey in such a short race. She's managed to get better from last year, and I think this is the most confident I am in any other pick that we will discuss today. But the 5K, like I mentioned, is a whole different story. We were first introduced to Valby on the outdoor track last season. She nearly upset the heavy favorite Caitlin Toohey at the time, and at the time, Valby was fairly inexperienced, running in the front of an experienced national championship pack. Now, having mixed it up with many of the best at multiple national championships in a controlled setting and on a very quick oval, I think Valby has got the experience needed to finally tone in her craft and put it all together to win her first ever national championship. On the men's side, Elliot Gipsane from Alabama, Isaac Baston from Drake, and Creighton Carrozza from Texas are most certainly the favorites in this mile. These three have the experience, they have the foot speed, and they all have what it takes to win this event. The 1500-meter national champion from Washington, Joe Wascom, he's another intriguing pick. But instead, I'm going to turn to his sophomore teammate, Nathan Green, who was a first-team All-American in the same event last spring as a freshman. And he opened up the season going 3:58 2 weeks into January. There may be a learning curve for Green, especially on the indoor track, different weather climate, especially in Albuquerque for the national championships. But for as young as he is, there's a lot of experience and a lot of desire to go along with that. I think he's the ultimate wild card in this race. And for what it is worth, I believe that's a good thing in this field of predictable milers. The 3K is a little tricky, though, because we don't really know who is going to toe the line in what events. Last year, we saw Abdihamid Nur from Northern Arizona break through to cement himself as the top distance runner in the country. And I think this indoor season, we're going to see a little bit of the same. We're kind of waiting for someone to do that, though, kind of cement themselves as the next Nur, set them up to go pro, maybe win another title in the outdoor season. And I'm going to take Kai Robinson to be that guy and win both 3K and 5K races in Albuquerque, following a similar trajectory that we've seen in the last few years. We saw Hawker do it in the mile and 3K 2 years back. Last year, Nur again in the 3K and 5Ks. And I like Robinson this year in Albuquerque. Robinson's been electric in 2 races this winter, winning the Boston opener in the 5K, running a 13:11, and then a few weeks later, he came back in the mile at the UW preview, going 3:55 in the mile. Robinson is firing on all cylinders after a pretty strong cross-country season. And I believe him to be the best distance runner in the nation as of now. I feel like he's on a mission to not only prove that to us, but to himself. And when you're running with something to prove, kind of got that chip on your shoulder, which is something I desire in distance runners, something I look for. And I think Robinson's got that right now. Like I said, something to prove. I think it makes you a very dangerous runner, especially during championship season. And Robinson, he's peaking at the right time. I really like Drew Bosley, the sprint in the 5K. I love Alex Mayer in the 10K. But this winter, I believe Kai Robinson steals the show. And with that, there are my indoor championship distance predictions. We kind of ran through that pretty quickly. So to give you an overview, taking Bailey Hartenstein from Colorado in the mile, Caitlin Tui from NC State in the 3K, and Parker Valby from Florida on the women's side in the 5K. To go along with that, we have Nathan Green from Washington taking the mile, and then Kai Robinson pulling double duty in Albuquerque on the men's side, taking the 3K and 5K races. But to say I'm excited for the indoor track season is an understatement. Excited for my own season as well. Got started this past week, debuting for a brand new team running for the University of Central Arkansas, making a move, kind of decided to transfer. We're going to get into that in a future episode coming up very shortly. But with that, I look forward to today's episode, and I really do think a lot of your questions on KC Heron will be answered. Let's move forward in today's show, and without further ado, I welcome today's guest. KC Heron, it is great to have you on the show today. How have you been, and how are things in Athens, Georgia?
Things are going pretty well here in Athens. I appreciate you having me. Just kind of been a hectic last couple of weeks with football championships and whatnot, but going into the track season, feeling good. So far so good.
Yes, sir. And like you alluded to, things seem to be rocking in Athens right now in more ways than one. And you've been fortunate to now experience 2 of those national championships. But what was it like being a student in Athens for that second straight championship?
It's unreal, really. That's all I could really say about it. It's just, I mean, the experience is just something you don't get every day. Like you have to, if you're there actually at school while you get a national championship, it's just different than say you're an alumni or you're someone planning to go to the school. Like it's just there because you're actually in the moment. You really feel like you're a student right there. You're in the shoes of these football players that are playing with you, and basically they get national championships and just bringing it home to Georgia is awesome.
Absolutely. And in your opinion, we talked about this briefly before we started recording, but do you think Georgia has what it takes to win a third national championship next year?
I think, yeah, I think we do if we can just stay consistent and maybe get. I mean, I know quarterback spot will be gone next year because Stetson's going to be gone, and he was a veteran, so I mean, he knew what to do, and he could get it done. And I mean, I think if we have someone step up in the quarterback position, I think we'll be fine. because I think our defense will still be great. Like even though we're losing guys to the draft, we lost a ton of the guys to the draft last year, and we just basically replace and are strong again. So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no one replaces talent quite like Kirby Smart. And you alluded to my last question about Georgia football before we hop into today's show. Who do you think is playing quarterback next year? You got some intriguing options. A lot of my friends who are Georgia fans think Beck's going to start. Personally, I think Vandergriff might be the most talented of the bunch. You also got Gunnar Stockton. Who do you like there?
I honestly think it'll be Carson starting since he was like the second string coming out after Stetson. I think Kirby's just given him enough playing time to be ready for this next upcoming season. So I think he'll probably get the starting spot. I think Gunnar and Brock will definitely battle it out for that second string. I'm not sure exactly where they'll fall because I mean we haven't seen them play. So we'll whenever that happens, it'll happen, I guess.
Yep, and Gunnar Stockton, being a South Carolina fan, made the worst decision of his life. No, I'm just kidding. Going to Georgia, not going to blame the kid for going to try and to win some national championships. That's great. Would imagine he hits the portal. But I mentioned things in Athens were rocking in more ways than one, and that starts with you in Athens and your track career. Last week, you won the 1K and 800 in Clemson, South Carolina, or as I like to call it, the armpit of the United States. You not only won these events, but you posted some pretty impressive performances. What worked well for you last week, and how do you feel like the races went overall?
I definitely trusted my training a lot. Like coming in with a new coach this year, he definitely has had us building more confidence in our speed stuff and kind of learning to race more out there and just feel like stop really caring about how we feel and just know that you're in a good enough shape to go push yourselves and you know you've done the work and the workouts. And when I got into those races, I would just focus on just kind of sticking, stay relaxed, keeping my arms down because I tend to if I tend to bunch up my shoulders if I'm getting too fatigued. And then once I start to relax and actually feel through what I'm going through, like I can eventually save up maybe a little for a kick. But I don't like to say save up because it sounds kind of like, oh, like you don't want to leave everything out there. But like sometimes I just feel like if you stay relaxed, you'll always have that kick. So I've always been pretty confident in it. So just
Yeah,
yeah, I pretty much just rode around. I mean, the 800 was a lot different than the 1K. The 1K, I kind of sat behind a bunch of my teammates. Like I knew we went out 28, and I was like, all right, let's kind of relax. Like stick around 28.5 is what we were aiming at, and then we had a couple like 29 or 29 high, and then like another 29. I was like, okay, the pace is falling off a little bit. I need to try to swing out wide, and I swung out, kind of went in behind Will, and then eventually Will was starting to fall off the pace a little bit, moved around Will, and then coming into the last lap, I saw the Auburn guy was in front of Auburn and Clemson. Technically, were both in front of me, and I was like, all right, let's I can catch them. Like I feel like I can get my turnover going, and I started picking up my cadence, and eventually got around to that last 200, and I was like, let's just roll, and that's what happened. So I was pretty happy with that. Then the 800, I ran the exact opposite. I went out from the gun and led the whole thing because I saw that the time in the first. I actually was in the second heat, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna be in this. That's supposed to be the slower heat, and I was like, okay. I kind of wanted to see what the time was, and I saw that they ran 153. I was like, okay, I think I can run faster than that. So I basically took it out from the gun and was like, I'm gonna try to get the time and win this thing. So
yeah, seemed to work very well for you. And from a conversation we had this summer, I remember you mentioning that no runner from UGA has ever gone under 4 minutes in the mile, and that is one of your big goals from for the upcoming season. How close do you think you are to getting that goal, and what are some races you will be chasing that time this season at?
yeah, I think honestly it depends on the race because I think if I get in the right race and I go through say 1K at 228-ish, I'll be like okay, like I'll feel my adrenaline and I'll be like all right, it's time to go. Like this is it. You're on pace and I'm sure by that time I'll figure out if I'm feeling good or not, but I don't want to try to worry about how I feel, but still it's going to get to you in a mile race because it's just that's just how it is. But I think these next couple weeks I have laid out. I have Texas Tech next week. I'm running the 800, and that'll kind of get my speed legs under me still. And then I'll run the mile at Vanderbilt, and I think I'll have a good shot there if I get in a good heat. So that's really kind of what I'm looking forward to in terms of the mile.
Yeah, the 300 track in Nashville is beautiful. I love running there. And I've had this conversation with a lot of people, especially recently, but dipping under 4 minutes doesn't seem to be the accomplishment it once was within the running community. To me, I still believe going sub 4 is the golden standard of any distance runner. Maybe that's just my younger high school kid coming out, but I truly believe going sub 4 is kind of the end, not maybe not the end all be all, but it's still the number one thing a distance runner, especially at our level, can accomplish. Would you say you agree with that, or and how big is going sub 4 for you?
For me, I think it's the same as you. I've always seen it as like a golden standard. Like you run sub four, you're just someone at an elite runner. Like you're no matter what, if you're a sub four miler, you're like, dang, that guy's fast. Like that guy's no joke. He's run sub four. He knows how to run. Like that's like that leap from being like a 405. Like that's solid. Like oh, if you run 405, that's a great race. But like it really, once you start getting down to that fast, it's a matter of just how good is that runner? Can he break four? Like you don't look at someone and be like, oh, he only ran 401. Like oh, 401's good, but like he never broke four. Like people really look for that 359, even if it's 359.99, you know? It's like everyone wants to be under that milestone because I mean, I guess it's kind of like growing up throughout high school, like I was like, there's no way I think I'll like ever like my first year I started running, I was like, there's no way I'd ever break four. Like I never had it in my mind. I was like, I just kind of wanted to run to get in better shape and just see what happened and then now like the realization that it's actually possible is kind of been making me nervous and I mean I enjoy it like the adrenaline and just everything about it. I'm just excited to see if I can do it because I know I'm in the shape and I know I just need to relax and stay calm if I get in the right race. So
Yeah, I'm the same way. If you would have told me when I was in high school that I'd even be this close to sub 4, I wouldn't have believed you. And going sub 4 is still probably the number one goal, even though I'm a long distance runner for the rest of my college career. So it's awesome that you're just getting there, getting super close. I think you're going to get it, and I hope you do. But training to go sub 4, it's grueling. Running a sub 4 is
yeah.
obviously rather difficult as well. And because going sub 4 is such a big deal, what would you do to celebrate this accomplishment? Would you treat yourself to a special meal, maybe a hamburger, pizza, specialty, something like that? Plan a special night? What would that entail?
I definitely try to celebrate, but without being super careless. I'd probably celebrate with maybe hanging out with a bunch of my friends, like just trying to, I mean, maybe even my family if they come up to the meet. Like I think my parents are planning to come to Vanderbilt, so maybe I ask my coach if I can go out and eat with them and celebrate a little bit. Maybe get like a dessert for a dinner, get it something a nice steak or something like that would be pretty awesome. And just to kind of relax. I don't really want to go all crazy if I break four. I want to be like I did it, like it was a huge accomplishment. Let's not I still want to stay composed and be like, there's still a lot of season left. Like getting into the championship season, that's just one big goal down. And now it's just terms of racing more tactical because if you hit time goals, you don't really, you can always hit a time goal, but when it comes down to the championship races, you're going to run sub four if you're running a good race. Like if you're going to run in a championship race, say at SECs, the guys winning it are most likely going to be sub four. The guys in the races before that, even the semifinals, are going to run sub four. So it's just at that point, it doesn't like let's realize you have that you've let's realize you've made that accomplishment, but I want it to be kind of short-lived and be like, all right, let's keep our head in the right place because I mean, I'll still appreciate this forever and look back at it forever and look at it like it was a lifelong goal because it's been a goal of mine for probably 5, 6 years now, and and be like, yeah, I did it. Let's keep going.
Absolutely. It's a great mindset. I love to hear it. But from the time I've spent in Georgia, I've recognized that there is a very unique running community in the state. And for those of you not listening in Georgia, Casey, how would you describe to them the high school and college distance running scene in Georgia?
I think it's honestly huge. The amount of people that you know just from races, like say we have this meet, like we have meets all across, I mean, Georgia, but most of the meets around Atlanta, like with anywhere within 30 minutes of Atlanta, you're gonna see someone you know, like, and it's really unique because the guys in Georgia all run with each other. Like we all meet up and run with each other, even if we're on different teams. If we have like we don't really hate each other. Like we don't like are like, oh, I hate that guy if he's better than me. Like it's never been like for me, or it's never been like that for me. It's always been like oh, there's my buddies, like I'm gonna go race him, and I want to have friendly competition with, but I'm never gonna like be a total jerk to him and just hate them because they did better than me. I just it's really crazy because like you don't I realize not a lot of people see that. Like you don't see people from different teams running with each other. And like I remember the summer of my senior year of high school, we would have long runs where there were probably 30, 35 guys all meeting at the river, and it's just it would be a long run and all of us were getting our work in, and all of us were talking, having a good time, and it was just that's just how it was. That's how I thought everyone did, but I it was something unique, and I realized that later, and I was really thankful for it because I met a lot of my good friends that I know across the country that run everywhere, and I get to see how they do in different races, and I want to look up their results and see how they're doing, but also compare it to how I'm doing in my races. So I want to see them improving just as much as I'm improving, but also still be like, oh, I want to catch that guy if he's faster than me, or I'm sure people want to. I want people to say the same thing about me. So
Yeah, for sure, and that's kinda you hit on it perfectly. I feel like every time we go to the river, I mean, I've seen you there before many of times. Anytime I go to the river, I see someone else that's not on my team that I know. It's just a crazy community, really special in Georgia, and you're fortunate enough to compete for one of the best athletic departments in the country. What are some of your favorite parts of being a student athlete for the University of Georgia?
definitely the gear and just the perks in total. Like I mean, the amount of gear I get is crazy. Like I have probably, I mean, you could probably see right here, I have 1,000 hats, and just they're all great, awesome gear. Like I mean, the stuff is perfect for our running. We just recently got like last year we didn't have Vaporflies, so when we got upgraded to Vaporflies, I was like, these are sick. Like they make you feel great in workouts. You can recover faster and just make you faster overall. And then also, I wanted to say like the food. Like we recently got upgraded from our food. Last year we only had 4 meals provided, so I was on meal plan last year. Then we won the national championship, which I think is a big brought in a lot of money, and now we
Mhm.
got like 5 days a week we get 3 meals, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely convenient. Definitely helps you kind of become a better runner. You can't slack off on your meals. Definitely a nice asset to have. But if you could give me a specific moment, what moment would you say has been your favorite as a Georgia Bulldog?
I think so far, definitely, I think I'll have to say SECs when I ran the DMR with some of my teammates, Sam, Caleb, and Clay, and then I ran the 12 that leg, and we ended up doing. I think we got fourth. Yeah, we got fourth, and I ran like 2:58 in the 12. Was super happy, and then we ended up breaking our school record. So my name first. That was my first time my name was in the record books, and I was super happy, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, such a great feeling. So definitely a big one.
And I don't have this one on my question sheet. However, you posed a good kind of next question to bounce off of that. Thinking about it, you guys have a really good mid distance squad. You guys could probably put together a pretty good DMR team. Do you guys have ambitions to go to nationals this year in that event?
I definitely think if we get in a race where we have like it depends on our schedule. We have a pretty strict schedule in terms of like where we would actually run a fast DMR. But if we do get a DMR, I think we can run an extremely fast DMR because we have guys like Will, Clay, Sam, like these guys are all 4.40 milers, but like then we have Will and Clay who've run 146 in the 800, and then adding me, which is more of a 12, and we also just got Zach Truitt transferring from Tech, who's
Hmm.
got a great also much races much like me, and he does the same events as me. So it's kind of we're pretty deep, and I think if we get the chance to run a fast DMR, I think we'll run great because we have a lot of talent.
Yeah, plenty deep roster at Georgia. You guys are really building something there. One thing I think people in our sport look past, though, is that we're human too. We're more than just runners. And I think you and your teammates had to deal with that side of the sport more than most recently. You went through a coaching change this summer with Coach Henner taking over the distance program. What was that change like, and how have you and your teammates adapted to Coach Henner's leadership?
It's been a lot different. I would say I like it. I mean, I liked Coach Cunniffe, and he was a great guy, but I mean the training's been a lot different, and I think it's for the better. I think the team has different goals on what is fast. Like if we see something that we said was fast last year is completely different. The whole team has been like, that's not a very fast time. We need to keep going. And we're not, it changes us from being content and settling, and it kind of pushes us to be more of a leader and just going for things. Like I remember like just when Coach Henner came in, the first initial thing was like he's like we're gonna run fast. Like he had no hesitation. He said we're gonna run fast. We're gonna work hard. We're gonna do a bunch of these things differently and really make sure if we don't want to have bad days. Like if there's we want to basically block out bad days. I had a bad workout maybe like the first or second week and he brought me in his office like, look, we can't really have these kind of workouts. Like we need to be consistent. We need to be sleeping, eating right. We need to do everything right, and we're going to improve to the sky and back. It's been a complete change, and I think the team chemistry is honestly boosted. Like I mean, we all feel each other getting faster. I mean, Coach Henner is definitely going to be hard on you, but I think we like that, and I think we like a challenge, and I think it's just helping us all get faster. So.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like the culture, even more so than just the running aspect, has gotten better in those regards. So it sounds like things make sense why things are even going better than they were last year. And I know the answer to this, or at least I would imagine I do. Are you more of a cross country or track guy?
I'm definitely more of a track guy. I don't want to say that I want to try to be like, oh, dual threat, but like I'm definitely when I get on that track, I'm way more comfortable and confident and I that's kind of how it's always been. I mean, I'm trying to gain my confidence for that longer stuff because once you get faster at the longer stuff, you'll get faster at the shorter stuff and that's the main goal and but yeah, definitely track.
Yeah, but however, in high school, you did go 1542 through 5K in cross country. Would you say you've always been a track first guy, or was there ever a period, maybe in high school, that you favored cross country over track?
I definitely favored cross country until my junior year of track. Like I knew, I don't know, it depends. Because, like, I would run a good time in cross country, and I'd look at the mile split leaderboards all the time when I was a freshman or sophomore to see what I was ranked through all the freshmen and sophomores. So I'd always compare myself, because that's kind of what I've always done, just to see where I am on leaderboards and how well I'm doing. So I think when I saw 440 my freshman year and I was like number 4 in the state, I was super duper happy. I was like, I'm the number 4 freshman. Like definitely was like and then I'd go run cross country and it'd be a little bit different. But I always definitely liked the culture of cross country a little better. Like just the idea of it all being distance. That's kind of how it was in my high school at least. Our team now is a bit different. Like we're all bigger a family than it was in my high school. We kind of had like a our cross country and the distance people are just didn't get as well along with the track people, I'd say. Like it's just the cultures aren't don't match, and that's kind of what Coach Carroll has done a great job at where we've been able to be basically a great family throughout our whole sprints, jumps, throws, pole vault, you name it, and we're all just all really close as a family, and I love that. So
And staying in high school for a moment, where I believe you attended Pope, right?
yeah,
Great program from what I've been told. I
love
have
it.
several friends that come from there as well. You were a part of some pretty legendary races in Georgia. Who would you say was the best runner you've ever gone up against in high school?
Yeah, there's definitely a long list of people that I've gone against, but I mean, the first one that comes to mind has always been Sully Shelton. He's someone I've raced since I was a sophomore. He was a freshman. He was always kicking my butt, so I've always thought he was a great runner and always tried to put myself where he is and try to beat him. And I still don't think I've beaten him to this day. And I know Sully, I want to beat him one day, but he's definitely someone that comes to mind as him being the 2 miles state record holder, ran like 8:30, I think it was like 8:40. I forget exactly what it was, but it was something really fast. And I've always thought Sully was someone that I could try to beat, and I like being rivals with him because he's also one of my best friends. So,
Yeah,
but also
Matt,
I mean, Kamari, Justin, Andrew, I mean,
plenty
those
of
guys
talent.
as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm not as close as them. I've raced them, and they've again kicked my butt in a lot of the races. But Sully being in my state and him beating me my junior year, his sophomore year, him winning state, and it's just kind of more of a closer rivalry. And he's definitely a really talented runner. So,
Absolutely. And now in college, who would you say some of your favorite people or teams are to race at the college level?
at the college level, I would say, um, just a lot of the SEC teams. Like we see them everywhere. So, like I can name a lot of the guys I ran. I know a couple guys from Alabama. I know some guys from Tennessee that I always like racing. Like some guys from Kentucky. So I mean, if some Florida kids too. Like I always like racing kids that like have seen have run fast, and then you get put in the same race as them, you're there. And I've never really picked out someone in college because I've I'm still learning to get like in those faster heats. I haven't been in that exact top yet, so I'm still looking forward to that. But like definitely in the DMR when we raced Old Miss and Mario was on that anchor leg, I was like, dang, I was technically in the same leg as Mario. Like I was in the same race, but I didn't run the same leg. And then he went on to run incredibly fast at Worlds and got like third in the 1500, and I was like, dude, that guy's insane. So
He's
definitely
definitely
he's up there too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely taken off, kind of skyrocketed his career, especially from like 2021, where he was kind of trying to hawk down Cooper Tier in the DMR, into
hmm
a whole year later, he's the bona fide number one miler in the country. Pretty cool to see where he's come from. And at least for me, traveling is one of the most fun parts of being a college athlete. I love going to like places like Tuscaloosa. Even going to Huntsville sometimes is different, even though I've been there so many times. But there's so many other places across the country that they excite me as something new. I haven't seen it before. Where are some of your favorite college campuses that you've been to?
In terms of college campuses, FSU my freshman year was pretty cool. I liked going down. It was nice weather. It was pretty hot, but I mean, still like beautiful campus, and I thought it was really fun going down there because we stayed for a couple days. Texas A&M was really nice. I wasn't as fan as the buildings as much, but the facilities are really nice, and it was also snowing there, so I was kind of crazy because I did not expect to see snow in Texas, and I remember walking to Chipotle and clicking the road thing that like the beeper to cross, and it was frozen over, and I was like, this is not supposed to be Texas weather. And then I'd say Clemson's nice to go to because it's nice, a quick, easy drive, and I enjoy running there. And then in terms of cross country, went up to Louisville. That was a really fun trip. When we went to Louisville, that course was really nice, and I really enjoyed that. And I'm looking forward to maybe going to Paul Short. I don't know when we're going, but I really want to go there because my teammates tell me all the time how awesome it is. It's a one loop 5K or 8K, and that would be a blast to go to. So those are some of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you on Paul Short. Haven't been to Lehigh yet, but it's definitely a course I'd like to go to. Kind of just like you mentioned. I mean, it's just a perfect loop, and that's something every distance runner is looking forward to. I have a few more questions for you before I let you go, and I'll start with this fun one. Are you a PlayStation or Xbox person?
Yeah, I'm definitely an Xbox guy. I grew up playing Xbox 360, and ever since like fifth grade, I think is when I got it, and I just been playing ever since. I play a good bit, so
And we mentioned this briefly when we were just talking before recording. Growing up, what were some video games you like to play when you were growing up?
I love to play a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of Minecraft, a lot of just any game. Oh, Halo Reach. I loved Halo Reach. Huge game for me, and yeah, those are my favorite games.
And staying on topic from when you were growing up, what were some other sports you played as a kid?
I grew up, started playing baseball when I was 4. I played baseball probably 11 years until, or maybe, um, I stopped when I was around 13. So 9 years I played baseball. I played travel for 3 or 4 years. Wasn't a very good hitter, but I was always a great fielder because I had a good bit of speed to me and I could pitch. I could pitch all right. I didn't throw very fast, but no one could hit a junky changeup. So I also played basketball third grade, and that's probably one of my favorite sports to play. I love playing basketball. I played throughout high school. I did play eighth grade for my school team, but then running kind of took in charge, and I just played rec for the next years of my high school career. I just would play basketball in the winter and kind of get ready for track, and that's kind of how I think that helped a lot with my speed. I thought running back and forth, I would just never stop running, and I think that would help me a lot.
For sure, absolutely. Uh, would you consider yourself a Hawks and Braves fan too, then, in those two sports?
Yes, yes, I am a huge Braves fan, definitely, and I like the Hawks. I don't keep up with them as much as I should, but I do enjoy if they're doing well, I'll definitely watch a game or go to a game. So,
Can absolutely relate with that. As you can see, plenty of Brave stuff myself. Hat, bunch of stuff behind me. There's even a flag right in front of me. So I
uh-huh.
appreciate we can share that. But how did you discover your talent as a distance runner? You mentioned you were a baseball player, basketball player growing up. How did you end up kind of finding out that distance running
Yeah,
might be for you?
yeah. My freshman year of high school is when I started running. my best friend's dad, who's a wrestling coach, was like they should come run cross country. Like they'll get ready for basketball because at that time I wanted to still play basketball, and we got ourselves into cross country in August of 2016, I think, whatever the year was, my freshman year of high school, and um, I remember I was like, this is no fun, like this sucks, and then like I did not like running that much. And the only thing that really kind of got me going was that I was pretty good at it because my first race I actually ran was an open race that I ended up winning, and I told the coach, which was my friend's dad, was one of the coaches also, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll give you 20 wings if you win the race." And I went out there and ran like 20:04, and I was like, I won the race, and I was super happy, and I was like, maybe this has something here, and I ended up dropping my time by like 2.5, 3 minutes, and running 17:22 as a freshman, and I was like, I really like this, and I really like the team, and I made a lot of friends, and I'm starting to get into better shape and feel better on the runs, and who knows how far this can take me. And I really didn't start taking it super seriously until probably my end of sophomore year. I was like, I can definitely run in college. I had some great mentors that ended up running at Augusta, a couple of them, and Josh and Jacob, they were great mentors to us, saying like, oh, you can run in college if you really put your mind to it. And I basically was super motivated from there.
And fast forward to now, you're on the verge of accomplishing some great things as a distance runner. We've discussed your pursuit of going under 4 minutes in a mile, but what else do you want to accomplish in this sport before you're ready to put up the spikes and call it a career?
Um, I definitely want to see. I want to be pretty high up in nationals. Like I want to be an All-American in the mile. I want to come back in double and do a 3K mile 3K double if I can, and try to be an All-American in both. That would be a pretty awesome feat. And definitely in terms of time, um, just run really fast. I don't really have major goals in mind because I've had sub 4 on my mind for so long that I know I want to run sub 150 in the 800, but I think that'll come closer than I think later. So in goal, who knows? I just want to keep improving and running faster and growing in the sport. So
And Casey, this is the last question I have for you today. Having been doing this running thing for as long as you have, what would you say is your favorite part of our sport?
I definitely say the favorite part of running is probably the connections and the people I know. Like I would not be anywhere like if I didn't have the friends I have now. Like I would also, but I mean, friends comes with like they push you. So when you just have that feeling of running a good race, also like my friends obviously are great, and then but then if you run a good race and you're like you, nothing feels better to me than running a good race. Like you feel like you're on top of the world, nothing can go wrong. It's a great feeling, and I think that's probably my favorite feeling. I mean, the best thing I've gained is having the friendships, but when you run a good race, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, no better feeling than that. Love running a nice PR. But Casey, it's been great having you on the show. I had a great time getting to know you a little bit more, and I'm excited to see how your pursuit of that 3 minute mile goes.
Thanks, Gavin. I really appreciate having me.
Yeah, and thank you all for giving today's episode a listen. Be sure to check out Outside the Oval Instagram and Twitter pages for more content. We'll catch you next time, next Tuesday, for another trip outside the oval.